I have been working most of my life in clay. Clay just could speak anything I wanted it to say, practically. I remember an early series of clay masks that went on the wall with doors with hinges that opened up and had this mixed media material going on behind them. I did become a little bit unsatisfied with that because the doors in the masks were so small. I wanted to play more with these materials that were speaking to each other. I built a torso that had doors that opened here, so I had a bigger area to work with inside. Masks are, in general, a covering. They're also a way to hide. So the openings were also about going into the subconscious and sharing the things that we usually don't. One of the beautiful things about working with clay, but one of the problematic issues about working with clay is that it is very demanding in terms of timing. Certain things have to happen when it's ready. I found myself trying to keep these things from freezing or drying out, hoping I could get to them on the weekend. And I was at an art teacher's conference. Someone was demonstrating encaustic. And they're, melting beeswax, which has this wonderful smell that I have great associations with from my childhood. I bought some stuff on sale and set it up in my studio. It's very similar to clay in that it can be additive and subtractive. It's also transformed by heat the same way that clay is through firings. That there's a certain amount of serendipity that you have to go with the flow. And I guess I like that. Initially, I was just playing with wax and seeing what it could do and working very abstractly. And then I went straight into this long series of landscapes, really focused on trees.
If you see, I call them my sad boy paintings, there's a recurring, growth on my shoulder that's, digging its fingernails in me. I had a disconnect with, my identity, and I felt alone, even though I was, had a loving family. That all changed when I got my autism diagnosis, and it clicked. All of my work was about being autistic, but I didn't know it. That's very one-dimensional, and it's not a good portrayal of the overall community. I don't know any other autistic people that just only want to be identified as autistic. And so my overwhelming compulsion to hyperfixate on social injustice became my focus. Humor is the most subversive force. You get them to laugh, and then they will listen to you a little bit more. Because at first I was just I need to build this alternative universe to kind of show my message, and so I created the Thumb People, a mutant race of oligarchs, cheering on violence for sport, ultimate fighting, football, and then moved into just the kind of straight meat portraits. I just felt we don't need to be reminded about the Thumb People. We need to be reminded about what they're doing to us. I had that picture of a guy on a cigarette break, cutting up all his meat, but then the irony of it is he's also the product for that company. And he's also being slowly butchered. I felt that was a really great, and that was kind of the turning point and kind of put me into the direction of just portraying humans and both victims and perpetrators. This is a work in progress. I think with this the shape, it'll be shrink wrap styrofoam square. Like you're used to getting your ground beef and steaks, and probably a little label explaining who he is, what his qualifications are, and what his hourly rate is. I just want people to think about themselves and their value and their worth.
Two things can simultaneously be true at once. The Erie Canal did bring great economic prosperity to some people in New York State, and the Erie Canal was a significant contributing factor in the dispossession of the Haudenosaunee.
Hi, Gyasta, yeah. Jake Edwards is my English known name. I'm from the Onondaga Nation Eel Clan. Our home is what's now called New York State. This was our house. The trees, the forest, and are our walls to our house. The skies are our ceiling, and Mother Earth is our floor. And we consider it that way to this day. It's been recorded and studied to be around 1142, the forming of the Confederacy of what we're called by the French the Iroquois, and we're called by the Americans the Six Nations. And what we're also known by our own name as the Haudenosaunee. Well, the impact of the Erie Canal started long before the Erie Canal. You look at the history of the colonizers, the way they write their history is it was one of the best moves to help build America and that the American people had ever done. Well, you look at the Native American side of it, and it's the most devastating and betrayal acts that the government of the colonizers has done to us to obtain our land. And we still feel the effects today. They considered the Haudenosaunee New York State's Indian problem. And we view it the opposite.
So all of the nations of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, from Albany, which is Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and then later Tuscarora, all are involved in the territory of the canal. The canal was all about westward migration and the dispossession of Haudenosaunee people, and then Native people out west as well.
Indigenous people all over the world understand their proper relationship with the natural world, and especially water, because it is the river of life. Our bodies are comprised of water. We have this special relationship that is regenerative. We couldn't live, we couldn't produce without our association and relationship with water. What the Dutch failed to understand, and future colonists that came to this land, was that the river of life entails that you live in proper relationship with the earth. What came through after the Revolutionary War, several decades later, was that they had in mind to build the Erie Canal, which was an artificial river, and devastated all of Haudenosaunee land. So we have moved on as a country of ill-made relationships right from the get-go.
It's important to me that they know what happened back in the past, because a lot of the young generation, they don't know what happened in the past.
If we don't remind people and teach the history and share the information, then we can quickly go back to where we don't want to be, where people live in fear, where people are segregated, where people are treated differently only because of the color of their skin. has nothing else to do with anything else but the color of their skin.
We didn't come here just to earn a better life. We come here to make a better life for everyone. One day, this country will spill out and tell the truth about the contributions of African Americans to this country. One day, this country is gonna do that. They're gonna have the courage to do it. Right now, they don't have the courage. Not even good white folks don't have the courage right now, but one day, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I really believe that we ought to play a role in keeping people feeling like they are somebody and they are important. God has never been into the business of being mean or being nasty or hurting folks.
These people were fleeing a South that was oppressive. A lot of those same systemic issues, right, still exist. The work continues. The work to educate and the work to seek change continues.
Part of our role at the Lake Champlain Basin Program is we have a rapid response task force with experts from New York, Vermont, and Quebec that get together regularly and help utilize a rapid response fund to do early detection, monitoring, and management of invasive species in Lake Champlain and the surrounding watershed. We've been supporting USGS to do early detection monitoring of round goby using a number of different methods.
We have 7 sites that are being studied routinely, trying to screen for the possible upstream movement of round goby. We've been trawling with a large net that we're dragging on the bottom looking for goby, and we're electrofishing, again, looking for goby in the nearshore habitats. We're also taking environmental DNA samples. We captured and identified and took data on and released, say, 50 fish here today, and probably even more than that at the upstream site at Fort Edward. So those fish will be used to form a baseline data set of what the fish community looked like prior to round goby invasion. Obviously, we're hoping that round goby don't reach this point, but if they were to reach this point, we would be able to actually quantify their impacts on the fish community by looking essentially at a before and after invasion study. We've been sampling multiple times a year since 2022. We anticipate we will likely continue that until the invasion front of round goby changes in some significant way that causes us to revisit that study plan.
We developed a threshold action response plan, and that's a partnership, a document that was developed by the DC and NYPA canals. Some of those actions include scheduled locking. The lock is emptied twice in a row, and that creates a lot of turbulence at the base where round goby might be, to kind of flush them out. Some of the species that we are concerned with, other than round goby, are things like zebra mussels or quagga mussels. There are a number of aquatic plants that we're concerned with, hydrilla, that has been reported in the Erie Canal, and it's being managed. Water chestnut is a major problem in the Erie Canal and the Mohawk section of that, and moving further west. It's also in the Champlain Canal.
The Canal Corporation, New York State DEC, and other partners who have vested interests in maintaining a healthy fishery in Lake Champlain, a thriving economy in the communities that live along the canals, and figuring out what the future use of the system is. It's largely recreational. The goal is to continue recreation through the Champlain Canal and not interrupt or end that use, but to look very seriously at how we can alter how people move through the system and prevent the invasives from moving through the system.